Hi all, Weston from Zero Sum Gamers here, and I wanted to talk to you today about the State of the Union address that I watched yesterday. I gotta start out saying I'm apolitical. I really don't care about politics at all, except to listen sometimes to what politicians say and then make fun of them for it afterwards, because they say stupid things. Today is one of those days. I thought that a lot of what Obama said was actually very interesting, and positive. There's one thing that he said that was absolutely moronic. Maybe not moronic, misguided, half-baked. And this is what it was. He said that he wanted to make the first 2 years of community or junior college free, essentially free associate's degrees, because associates make more than GED or high school diploma holders do, and then bachelors make more than associates. And so we want to get people higher education. Okay, fine. I applaud that. But that's not the whole story. All of higher education should be free. It should be free to everyone. I think it's entirely possible to do if the government would actually restructure the way it spends its tax money and put a lot more into education, which, let's be completely honest, this is something I never understood from the beginning. The people who become politicians, yes, we know that they're all not the smartest, not the brightest bulbs in the box, not the sharpest crayons. But they all did have to go through primary, secondary, and then tertiary education. And some of them even went on for advanced degrees. It does happen. What I don't understand is how people who really needed the education system that they had in order to get where they are do not seem to care that much, for real, about the education system. It boggles my mind. Let's go back to this free education. Education should be free. It really should. But the way Obama was putting it, he's going, more people need to be able to have access to college, and we need to make college available to people. No. That is stupid. University level education, be it associates, bachelor's, master's, or doctorate degrees, need to be available to people who are willing to do work and capable of doing that work. Part of the problem here is that over the course of time, as tuitions have been raised, the standards that colleges have set have been lowered. Each successive year, they're allowing in more and more students, and they're charging them more and more, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Half of American universities are essentially just degree mills, and for those of you who don't know what that means, it means that they are just giving people degrees. And here's the problem. If you set a low bar, you are going to get people who aren't really going to excel. You're going to get some who do, and who go to that university for various reasons, but you're going to get a lot of people who don't. Because while America, in my opinion, still has the best overall tertiary education system, our primary and secondary education systems suck. And here's why. I have never been a teacher. My wife's a teacher, a lot of my friends are teachers. However, I did do secondary education as part of one of my undergrad degrees. I did get to work in schools. I have subbed. I do get to see what these situations are like. And having talked with teachers, it's really interesting to find out things like, oh, you know what? If students are failing, we as a school, because we don't get reimbursed very much by the government, we as a school can't afford to keep holding these kids back. So you know what? If they fail, we just move them on anyways. There are many more schools than you would be comfortable knowing that have this practice. If students are failing, it doesn't matter. They get moved on. They do not get held back. And that is ridiculous. But what happens is that starts way down when they're little kids and moves them all the way up. And so they don't know what it's like to work. These are students who obviously aren't hardworking, aren't capable, and they're being pushed to graduation. And then they graduate with a degree and grades that do not reflect their actual level of knowledge or level of capability as it relates to what they've done the past 12 years of their life. And then we ship them off to college because there's always a college that's going to accept somebody. And as long as they have the money to go there, they can go there. Well, the problem with making education free now, at the moment, is that our standards are so low that you're going, everybody come get degrees. That is essentially what you're saying. If it's free education, anyone can get it, anyone will get it. And that is the problem. You have people who do not deserve getting a higher education, either because they're not capable, not willing to put in the work, whatever it may be. But these universities are just as bad as the high schools and the primary schools because they have to retain students and they have to go ahead and give them degrees so that they can keep getting money from them because they need the money because, once again, they're not being reimbursed or not being given much money by the government. And because they're not, they charge up the wazoo and let in anybody. And then each person who gets a degree, that degree becomes less important. It becomes less useful. It becomes worth less. This is economics. This is supply and demand. If you have thousands of people who graduate with bachelor's degrees in English, and you do not have thousands of jobs open for people who have bachelor's degrees in English, then each one of those bachelor's degrees that does not have a position waiting for it becomes less valuable. And because you have colleges all over the U.S. giving degrees to anyone, all these degrees are worth less. My degrees are worth less. Your degrees are worth less. Everybody's degrees are worth less because you have two students, one who's capable and hardworking and one who's not that capable and hardworking but got pushed through his entire education from primary to tertiary, both having college degrees and both applying for the same job. And you know what? They don't look at grades. You know, maybe that's a secret. Maybe you don't know it yet. Nobody looks at your transcripts. It just really doesn't happen. Unless they're a very, very nitpicky person. Nobody cares about that. They care about your job experience and your extracurriculars and internships. That's all they care about. Your experience. Maybe if you have a funny story to tell. And so you have all of these people of varying levels of, let's say, potential output. Let's call it that. Varying levels of potential output and potential usefulness in society as far as it regards their higher education degrees. And all of these keep piling up and piling up. And the only reason that PhDs aren't absolutely useless at this point is because people figure, oh, you're a PhD, you've been in school long enough, maybe we'll hire you for something outside of academia. But believe me, if you get a PhD, it is going to take you a very long time to find a job in academia if that is what you're looking for, unless you're in a field that is absolutely booming at the moment, because no one can keep up with the amount of degrees. If one professor helps 3 students a year gain degrees, say, doctoral degrees, that's 3 students who are now waiting to fill the position that that professor was in and waiting for that professor to quit or die or whatever. Okay? This is how it works. We give out too many degrees. So you have to raise the standards. And make education free, that's fine. But raise the standards so that only those people who are hardworking or capable actually get degrees, which makes them then, once again, worth something. And that brings me on to the second point, which was Obama said, oh, let's make loan repayment easier. Please, thank you, because loans suck. Anything that is going to lower repayments is fine with me. The problem, though, is that it's a moral obligation. If you are going to make education free, if you are really going to make education free, even the lowest level of education free, and then let anybody who wants to get a degree, since now it's free, they can get a degree. I know I'm rhyming here. You are the cause of making the degrees that everyone else has worth less. They are less valuable and less likely to get a good job just because they went to college and they put in the hard work. Some of them anyway. And so it's a moral obligation. If you're going to make education free, you have a moral obligation to make people's loan repayments easier to pay, because you are essentially devaluing the education that you gave them by doing that. I'm fine with making education free. I wish higher education were free. But in order to do that, some straight up degree mills, half of those crappy universities across America that don't actually do anything for anybody would have to close. The government would have to give their money to universities, actually give them money, so that students could go there for cheap or for free. And then these universities would have to raise their standards. And yes, that would mean accepting fewer students, potentially. Although I think the fact that it's free and more capable people would be able then to apply would actually probably even out. But then you would have people whose college degrees are worth something coming out of college with those degrees. Like I said, I'm Weston. This is Zero Sum Gamers. If you're interested in games, check out some of my other videos. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and I look forward to your comments below. Have a great day.